We are here for another day. We like to go live and tell people everything that's going on, and the market is rewarding people now. Look at these rates. The prices in the place where I live have not just recovered over the past 12 months, they've actually surpassed it. We are shocked to see things like this, aren't we? I mean, I am. If we take a look at the prices just 12 months ago, the prices were just under 1.1 million. Currently, they're sitting at 1,130,000. Now, this is the average price. Can you believe that? Can you believe that we're even talking like this right now? I can't even believe it. So anyway, very, very interesting for me. I think that this is very interesting. Let's take a look at where we're sitting today. So the average prices are sitting at 1,130,000. That is crazy town to me. I can't believe that. So how do you think that this is going to go moving forward? Do we think that these prices are going to continue? I don't think so. Let's take a look at something that popped up just today at the Office of Superintendent of Financial Institutions. Now, what is that? What on earth is that type of place? Because the OSFI kind of directs the Canadian banks, right? So if we go and take a look at their page, you can go right to their very first page. And on their very first page, there are clues of who these guys are. Number one, they say that you have to have 3% of your mortgages as a domestic stability buffer. What is that? Meaning if you have a mortgage of like $1 million, they have to put 3% or $30,000 and tuck it away as a safety, right? So all that money doesn't go out into the market as loan. That happened in December, you guys. But look at, if we go just down a little bit, it says right here, redefining how we approach risk. Now, number one, nobody knows about this website. Nobody has ever checked it for any reason. We're going to be doing a deep dive on it. But if you open it on the first page, it says, as such, we are willing to accept the orderly failure of a regulated institution. However, we have a low risk appetite for surprise failure. So they are telling you, how are the banks doing, David? Well, I don't know. Why don't you go to their own government website? We're willing to accept an orderly failure of a regulated institution. I mean, you can't make that stuff up, right? And so there's a lot of banks that are at risk in Canada and the United States. This is going to continue right here. This is going to continue where they're going to have an orderly failure of those banks. And the reason is it all comes down to loans. The United States have raised their rates 10 times and then followed by a pause. Up. They're sitting at 5.25 right now. Canada, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball here. We're only at 4.75. So Canada's our rates are going to have to come close to what the United States are. We're still half a point shy of that, and so we probably will make up for that in July. So these are going to have to continue, unfortunately. And if you take a look at how this is going to punish your real estate portfolio, you just have to look at your cash flow. I mean, last year on $1 million property, at 2%, right? It would cost you $4,200. This year, if you had $1 million mortgage and we did the exact same thing, it would cost you $7,000 a year. So that's a month. That would be $3,000 a month difference. And that's what we're talking about today. So this type of stuff has got to really, really affect people. Nobody has $3,000 lying around. Yet, if we take a look at the markets are not playing around at all. The price was 1.1 last year, and now it's over 1.1. So I think that this is manna from heaven. If you guys are thinking of selling your properties, I mean, oh my goodness, what more can you ask for? So prices are gone up nonstop, and they are rebounded since earlier this year, back in January, in their lows, and just took off like crazy. Why did they do that? A large part of that was because of not just the spring market. Spring market doesn't mean anything. It really has to do with the bond rates got crushed. They dropped from 3.6 and dropped all the way down to 2.7, 2.6 a couple times. And this is your mortgage rates. So when mortgage rates drop, this is what happens. So it's very, very interesting to me to keep following this type of thing. Anyway, that's what I think. What do you guys think about that? So if your mortgage rates go down, prices are going to go up, right? This is exactly what we always know. This is what happens, right? So if we take a look at this, these are the prices in Toronto. Prices are skyrocketing. If we want to know how fast homes are selling, you guys know that this is what I specialize in. Look at last year, 16 days on the market last year, and now it's sitting at 15 days. Unbelievable how fast that these are actually flying off the shelves, I think. Also, if we want to know how the sales to asking ratio, are people overpaying? They are overpaying like crazy, all the way up to 105% of asking. So people are paying over again. So if you guys have any questions for me, I would love to hear them. If you want to ask me any questions about what is happening, I'd like to know. So this is where you have to be careful. It's a failure. They're looking at regulated institutions becoming problems. And this is where it's going to hurt people, is their mortgage rates. So the reason that we are doing this is we want you to be able to make a lot more money. This is how you got to do it. So if we're going to be looking at rates, a lot of people are sending me message nonstop about looking at how the rates are behaving. So if we want to take a look at how the rates are behaving, we call this an inverted rate, that the fixed rates, notice the fixed rates here are cheaper than the variable rates, which is completely out of whack. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, right now it might be a good time to fix your rate just for like a year or two, not for 5. We don't need that. I know that Jerome Powell is talking about fixing, not dropping the rates for years. I don't believe that for a second. So you guys can let me know what you think. And anyway, I'm really here just to be able to answer questions for you in live time if you guys want. So what we could do is we can look at different cities around my area, or you can ask me about different areas if you want, and we're happy to show you those as well. So Toronto obviously has a lot of those properties. The majority of them are those properties, Mississauga, Brampton, and we could choose a lot of these properties if you wanted to. So let's dive into that for sure. I think that it can teach us a lot of stuff. So let's also take a look at a couple other things. So if we look at the US, I was showing this yesterday. The producer index is actually down, which is a very good news for us. It was a big day yesterday looking at what happened in the United States, right? So when we see the producer index down, we have to rejoice. When we are seeing the averages for the 30-year fixed rate go up, I just saw it earlier today. This is not updated. It is now over 7%. Crazy, right? Very, very high. This rate of hikes is very, very dangerous to a lot of people. And so these rates are going to continue to put downward pressure on people. And it really comes down to the loans. When these loans are going to be coming up, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to get hurt. Here is the crazy thing, is if we want to take a look at where this is going over the next few years, we have a really, really good idea of the number of people that are going to be refinancing. So if we want to know about how things are when people refinance, let's take a look at that. And then I'm going to try to give you a couple tips, what I would do if I was in a position like you guys. So let's try to open this up. So if you guys are wondering, please ask any questions if you want. That's what I'm here for. This is what I like doing lives with you guys. We know that in 2023, for example, 2023, the Canada's big 5 banks have $30 billion coming due, $30 billion coming due in 2023. So what is it in 2024? 2024 has 60 billion coming due. That is a massive number. In 2025, we have $100 billion per bank coming due. This is what's going to smack people between the eyeballs, is when this starts happening, because 30 billion, it was a huge number. 60 is even bigger. And 2025, this is all the people that fixed their rates in 2020. So this tsunami is coming for the real estate market in residential. But remember, it only took 4.5% for people to run into trouble. 4.5% in the GFC for people to be in a problem. So that could happen right here at the end of this year. We're going to see how this is going to play out. This is going to be happening more and more. Please ask me any questions if you have. You guys, this is why I like doing lives. So $100 billion per bank. The bigger problem, the bubble that is going to pop first, and the one that I want you guys to pay attention to and watch for, the one that I want you to pay attention to is commercial real estate. This is the one that is going to hurt some people, unfortunately. So the way that you calculate a house, how do you do that? I mean, the majority of people here will already have a house, right? If you have a house, it all goes to your income. That's how people are looking. So if you make $100,000 per year, the government's going to allow you to put down $30,000 for shelter. So regardless of the house price and regardless of the interest, you can only ever put down 30%. Okay, that's the max magic number. 30%, 1/3 of what you have is for shelter. So now that you know that, that's great. We're going to move ahead now. How do you work on the value of a building in commercial real estate? So you guys know that I sell properties. So if you want any help, you can go to sellhire.ca. Okay, sellhire.ca. Go there and we can help you out. So if you guys want to know about how buildings are done, now when you have a very, very tall building, like all the REITs in your pension funds, maybe you have stocks in them or something like that, all they care about is something called NOI, or net operating income, fancy word for just saying the profit. So if the building brings in, let's say, $100,000 in income, but maybe it costs $80,000 of expense, that leaves $20,000 of profit, right? And that would be considered your NOI, $20,000 of profit. So all you have to do is take $20,000 of profit and divide it by about 10% right now, and that's going to give you what is the price, the value of the building. The value of the building, then divide 20,000 divide by 10% is $200,000, right? But here is the problem. Okay, so that's what the value of the building is now, right? So let me ask you this. What happens right now, the average in New York, for example, is they are sitting now with 30, 40, 50% of people are not renting. So half of this building is not getting any rent. If that happens, your profit over here, so your money coming in drops to $50,000. Are you telling me that your expenses go down? Not at all. And that's where the problem is. And so if I'm only bringing in 50,000 and I have 80,000 of expenses, what does that now bring me down to? Minus $30,000. So I'm losing money hand over fist, hand over fist. So what is a building worth when it's losing money every single month? I can tell you what the answer is: zero. If it's losing money, nobody wants it. So Tiffy is on here and mentioning this is why this is how the banks are currently collapsing. You are 100% right. So what is an asset that's not making any money? It's not worth squat. So this is what's going to be coming up for our countries. Canada, $2 trillion. US, $20 trillion of commercial real estate. And a lot of this is coming due in the next 18 months. So this is a big, big problem. It's going to be coming for a lot of people. So when we're going to look at housing prices crumbling, so housing prices, where are we down on housing prices, could drop 25%. If we're looking at commercial real estate, we're talking about commercial real estate could be down 50, 60%. And that's all coming due because of those interest rates. Hey, Freddie, how are you? Good to see you. So this is going to be the pig in the python that is coming for people. So when we're talking about residential real estate, it's not going to be the same as commercial real estate, right? Commercial real estate is an entirely different beast. And so when we're looking at actual calculators and wanting to see how this is going to affect us, we have to look at those interest rates and how they're going to affect us. On $1 million mortgage, looking at how the rates have gone up right now, you would lose just about 40% to keep it at the exact same rate. For the price to drop to, this is the rate, 2% versus 7.5%. What is the difference? The payments are going to remain the same down here, $4,200. The payment has to adjust down 43%. That's a big whammo. Now, does this happen all over the place? Absolutely not. We're just talking one person, right? When we look at cities, it's the biggest cities that are going to have the biggest losses, right? It's not going to be actual the little towns, for example. It's not going to be there. All right, you guys, do you have any questions for me as we are going through this? We are close to losing half the purchasing power for sure. And so if we let's just look at a calculator. I had a client of mine tell me earlier today that she has a 9.5 rate and she had locked in at 2. Didn't lock in. She was on a variable under 2% before. So if it was 9.5, let's just play some math. Well, there you go. There you go. So $1 million property at 2% is $4,200 a month. A $500,000 property at 9.5 is $4,300 a month. So for this young lady, she instantaneously is down 50% on her properties. So she's going to get quite stung by that. Isn't that crazy? Oh, no. Freddie is mentioning that 9.5%. Oh, she went private. No, private right now is sitting around 12.9 or so. 9.5 is from one of the big banks. This is why you got to look out for this. This is big problems. If you were looking for this exact calculator, I just went on mortgagecalculator.org. You can get this for free online anywhere that you want. So the banks are offering some massive rates right now, which is absolutely crazy. So let's jump into, I'm going to share my screen with you as well. And Freddie is asking another amazing question, loan to value. So guys, when we are going to be purchasing a property, what are you looking for? I know already they're looking for whatever your income is, right? So they want to make sure that if you have $100,000 of income, you never have more than 30%. That's the rule. But now that they're breaking that rule, now we have all of these other problems that are coming in the market. So he wants to know what LTV is, and so that's loan to value. And so how that normally works is that if you are under 500,000, you only need 5% down. But let's just say that you were at $1 million. Now all of a sudden you need 20% down. The reason why this is important is because these properties that only require 5% down are going to have a ton of people piling into them. Whereas the $1 million property, very hard for individuals to get into that property because they don't have the 20% down. Look at the difference. $500,000 property, 5% is $25K. If you wanted 20% down on $1 million property, now all of a sudden it's $200K. The difference, man, what is that? 8 times the price as a down payment? 8 times the down payment, but it's only double the price. And so this is where you really, the governments and the rules that the governments have are really going to make a big difference. This is where you're going to see where the rubber hits the road, if you will. Now, last year, let's just take last year, for example, okay? We're going to say in 2022, we're going to compare the differences right now and what you're going through. In 2022, let's say you needed a $1 million property, right? And that would mean an $800,000 mortgage. Okay, so if you had an $800,000 mortgage last year, okay, you would need to make something like $12,000 a month, and you have to have a credit score of 700. Okay, that's what you needed last year. So right now in 2023, what are we seeing that's different? Right now, what I'm seeing is maybe last year you had a 1 million. This year you have a $750,000 home that you want to buy. And they're telling you that they're not willing to give you 80% anymore. They want you to put down 30%. So now they might only be willing to give you $500K on that 750 home, something like that. So there's a massive less amount. So before they would have given you 80%. Now they might only be giving you 70%. In commercial real estate, we're seeing 60 and 50% mortgages only. Now, instead of $12K a month, they might be wanting you to make $17,000 a month in income. Instead of 700 credit last year, now they're looking for 800 credit score. So across the board, they are now going to make sure that you are going to get a smaller home, that they're going to give you way less money, that they want you to have way more income and they want you to have way more credit. This is what the governments call, when you hear them talking all the time online, credit tightening. This is credit tightening. This is what you got to know right there. This is what you got to know about credit tightening. And so as this credit tightening continues to squash people, we're going to see more and more problems that are going to be coming. And Freddie is mentioning that lenders are cherry picking. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly what they're doing. And they want to make sure that you're really, really, really high. And this is a perfect example of what we're looking for right now. Mesh is mentioning I booked a 5% on 3-year fixed term on my renewal 1 month ago from a big 6 bank. Good job, man. Now, I bet you, though, that Mesh, he's in a good position. He's in a good spot. Now, as we go through time, we're seeing worsening situations in a lot of different fields. So he said that he did this 1 month ago. Just to talk about Mesh, for example, let's jump into my other screen then, and let's take a look at this right here. So if we take a look at what the yield is on the 5-year bond, important for us to know, he said he did this 1 month ago, correct? So now we are mid-June. Let's go back to mid-May. 2.9% is what the actual bond was 5 years ago, 1 month ago. 2.9. Now we were sitting at almost as high as 3.8. That's almost 1% difference. So there's no way that Mesh would be able to get that last month. This month, like right away. Now let's just go back into 1 year and take a look at this graph. This is this is your mortgage rates, you guys. This is how much profit that the banks want to make. When you get to the very, very top up here, these high ones, that's when what happens? Home prices get pushed down. When it's very, very low at the low points, like Mesh got it right down here in this low, in this valley, that's when you're going to get amazing rate. This is an amazing interest rate. This is an amazing interest rate. So when you get an amazing interest rate, home prices are higher. So he got this at a perfect time, right? If you're looking at the whole year, the only other better one would have been last July. Mesh would have missed that a long time ago, right? So we got to take a look at what's happening in the market, understand how it's working, because this is a way that you guys can make a lot of money back by looking at things in a proper way. We need price reduction. Well, we need something. We need something, and it's hard for us to know exactly what we need, right? So there could be a lot of different things, actually, when we're looking at stuff like this. What are some of the choices that we could have? Number one, we could have that incomes are going to go up 40%. That would make things easier. Or we could have property prices drop by 40%. Or they're going to print a lot of money. And if they print a lot of money, which they likely will, we're going to have inflation, but we're going to have a destruction of purchasing power. And that is probably going to be very, very likely. So we got a comment coming in here that the government to stop printing money. Yeah, absolutely. The government needs to stop printing money. But I guess the question is going to come, are they going to stop printing money? So if we take a look at Canada, and check it out, money supply, it's not going to happen is my point. If you want to take a look at our money supply and just go back all of those years, tell me back here from 1969 in Canada, when did we ever slow down printing? This is like a volcano. It's just going straight up. There is no slowing down of printing. That can't really happen. So let's look up the U.S. money supply. We're going to look up US M2 money supply. If we look at the US's, it's not going to be much different, really. USA M2 money supply. Let's check out. Oh, Fred's a good chart. If we look at that, did they reduce? Oh my goodness, you guys, they actually did slightly. And this is what we heard yesterday when they said they were shrinking their balance book. Can you see that little tiny hook right here at the very end? So they haven't done it. It's been going up every single year. Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, whatever. It goes up every single year, regardless of who is in there. But you see this little tiny hook at the end. That's what everyone is having a hairy little fit about. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to tell you is that this, you guys, is not going to change very much. The policy rate is going to continue to skyrocket. Unfortunately, there's not much that we can do. It is what it is. All right. So good questions here, you guys. Thank you very much for your questions. Mortgage rate's going to be 9%, I believe, comes in one of the comments. And absolutely, I agree with you. The rates are going up. They're already at 9%. A lot of our clients are at 9. In fact, on one of the properties that I tried to get a mortgage on, they offered me 9.5. And I have perfect credit, great income, loan to values, everything's great. So they're offering that on a lot of different people. Let's see what else. Rich is saying, can you be serious? I don't know what you're meaning, Rich. Can you let me know what you mean? Freddie is mentioning when money is cheap, everyone's buying. That is absolutely correct. Which indirectly affects the market. Yeah. We all know we won't see income increase in, sorry. Salaries never go up. And this is part of it. So there was something, if you guys would give me a little latitude, let me try to remember, happened in 1971. So in 1971, the governments of Canada, United States, we all went off the gold standard. And it's really important for you guys to understand how this actually happened. So if we take a look at what happened in 1971, we went off the gold standard and the governments of the world became massively productive. Look at this. The productivity per hour just went bananas, up. Crazy amount of productivity. But if we look at the salaries of people that worked, the salaries have been flat since the 70s. Nothing. So companies make a lot more money, and then now we don't because the dollar went off the gold standard. And so we do not have an increase in pay, but governments and stocks and everything else, they're going to see the incomes. That's going to continue on, you guys. This is a tale as old as time. Let me know. Type 1971 in the comments if you find this interesting, because I find this very, very interesting. I think it's very cool. SCI Digital, you said great sharing. Yeah, thank you very much. Is it a good time to invest in real estate? It is always an amazing time to invest in real estate. I could not be more serious about that. In Canada, in the United States, the number one thing you got to look for is the rule of law. And so does the rule of law in your area, does it, is my question. Does it actually support you so that you are going to continue to make good investments? That's my question at the end of the day. It is amazing. 90% of people who make their millions make it in real estate. So you should be in real estate regardless, wherever you are. So thank you very much for the comments. We're on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and all over the place right now, but keep them coming in and I'll try to answer all of your questions. Hi, Mateen, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you very much for coming on. So, you guys, I do this just so that I can help you guys out all the time. I want you guys to do better. This is a gold coin here. When we were on the gold coin, ironically, it says Bitcoin on it. When we were on a gold standard and money was tied to it, we did a lot better as a country, Canada and the United States. So this is where we should get back to. Could we get back to a gold standard? There's no way. We would have to revalue gold to something like $20,000 an ounce. So it's too late. I don't think that we could do that. David do. Hey, how are you, Mateen? So they're out of there and they're more coming to the market. So you're saying there's more homes coming to the market? Is that what you mean? So I come on here because I like to help you guys. I want you guys to be doing well. The different cities in around Toronto, we're facing all kinds of issues these days. It doesn't matter where we pick. It doesn't really matter where we're going to pick. Oh, my system went down. I'll have to open it up later on. Mateen is asking, do you think rates will be down by 2024? That's a good question. So let me refer to you to what the government actually was saying. Please go check out the video that we posted yesterday about this. And we did it about what the governments are saying the rates will be coming soon. Here it is. So in the United States, they were saying 4.4% is the inflation. 4.4% is inflation, but 4.7 is what core inflation is. 4.7 is way, way, way too high, right? And you guys know that they need it to be at 2%, right there, 2%. So he says, what is inflation going to be in 2023? It's going to be 3.2, 2024, 2.5, and 2025, 2.1. This is the reason why they said that the rates are got to stay high for a long time. This is from the governments. They're saying that 3.2, 2.5, 2.1, and they're expecting rates to go up even higher, 5.6 at the end of this year. So this is what they are saying. I want to be very clear about that, right? This is what they are telling us is what's going to happen with those rates. So you got to tell me, do you believe that those rates are going to stay that high for that long? I do believe wholeheartedly the rates have to stay higher for longer, for sure, longer than we even expected. The governments are saying that the economy is much more resilient than we actually expected, which I believe. So knowing that in mind, do I think that they're going to be able to stay that high for that long? No. Will there be another financial crisis? 1,000%. 1,000%. There's always going to be another rate hike. And so, please, let's dive into another point. If you will indulge me a second to pull up something, let's just try to pull up what happens with the policy rate in the United States. Let's just try to look up that, okay? U.S. policy rate. You guys know that I do this live, right? So now you know that I'm being serious about it. Okay, so let's deep dive into that. If you take a look at this, these gray bars are every single time that there is a recession. Right here, gray bars mean recession, okay? So you guys know the one that happened when the shutdowns happened in 2020 was very short. This is the 2008-9, like a lot of problems. 2001 happened. But do you guys notice that the rates go way, way, way up? And then they start coming down and whammo into a recession. The rates went up here, and whammo into recession, drop rates like a brick. The rates go way, way up. It breaks something in the market, rate bang. All of those rates come way down. Look at what happened in 2020. The market actually started breaking in November of 2019, before the shutdowns even happened. And then whammo, had to lower the rates again. Every single time they raise the rates all the way back to the 50s, we're going to see this problem happening every single time. So you got to tell me, do you actually believe, where do you say that the rates were not crushed during a recession? Please show me. Show me where. Rates always go down in a recession. So next time that there is a recession, we're 1,000% going to have rates getting reduced. Tiffy is saying, yes, I think we won't see rate drops until 2026. Okay. Well, man, you are optimistic. So I think that's pretty cool. He's talking, we have another comment about treasuries. Treasuries are really, really good. Absolutely. We love treasuries. So if you guys like some of the stuff that we do, you know, you can always reach out to us. A lot of people follow us in our hometown in Toronto, Canada. You can always reach out to me. It's a free consultation. If you're looking to sell your property in Toronto, you can sell your home for more money, faster, and less hassle. So I think that that's important for everybody, just to be able to try to make more money when you sell your property. And I think right now it's like manna from heaven. I cannot believe that those prices have recouped to where they are right now. It's unbelievable to me that prices are 100% recouped from 12 months ago. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So do you think that there's going to be a recession soon? I don't think so. Not soon. We're in a rolling recession right now. We're not in a crash recession like we were in 2007 when it started. We're not seeing one bank after the other. It's a rolling recession. It's a different beast, but we can still fight it in different ways. Now, do you think the governments are going to do something about it? Probably. But if you just go to the Office of Superintendent, they're saying they're willing to accept the orderly failure of a regulated institution. The government is saying that they are ready for it. I just can't. I know that they're thinking it, man, but I'm just surprised that they actually would write it down. That's my surprise. Do we need another year or two for prices to drop? You guys, my first window for even thinking about buying a property would be fall. I wouldn't be thinking about anything. I think we're going to have a lot more clarity by August, September, October. I wouldn't even be thinking about buying something now, especially when these regulators are coming up saying this just recently. We're willing to accept an orderly failure. I think it's hilarious. But if you just go to their website, these guys are telling you the danger, right? With their domestic stability buffer, making sure that the banks have billions of dollars set aside for bad loans. I mean, you really, really got to know that this is happening, you guys, and take a look at this stuff. So we're watching inflation. Inflation is very, very, very high, US and Canada, and it takes a long time for it to work through the system. I always try to tell people, if you just look up any classical definition, 2 negative quarters, and it says that it takes up to 18 months for any evidence of the rate hikes. We're not even close to that right now. No, Mo is saying, I think it'll drop, but nobody knows exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. Absolutely. So you guys, the loans are what's going to crush people right now. This is happening across the board to people all over. They're running out of cash. I've never gotten so many calls in my entire life saying that problems were brewing with them. These interest rates are some of the highest hikes that we've had and the fastest hikes we've had. You can see how steep it is. We haven't seen this since back in the late 70s and 80s. This is a very tumultuous time. And this is what a lot of classical economists always look at, is the 70s being a very tumultuous time. I think the 40s are much more like to where we are today. So I would study that if I were you. The money supply is hooking in the United States. It is very, very small dropping, but nothing that was going to destabilize the market to me. So hopefully this is helping you guys. If I liked it, please consider subscribing to our channel and following me. Hopefully that is giving you some benefit. That's what I want you guys to follow here. If we're going to look in Toronto, if we're going to look in Vancouver, if we're looking in Calgary, Montreal, all of the markets across Canada, we're seeing the exact same things from East Coast to West Coast. So what we're seeing, I also went down and looked at some of the numbers in the United States. In the United States, I looked at New York, Atlanta, Miami, Oregon. I look at Portland and Seattle. I looked down in Southern California, Northern California, Arizona. I looked at all the cities, and they're kind of lumping into certain groups. Cities over 1 million people, they're kind of getting pummeled down. They're the ones most at risk. Also, in the cities over 1 million, if you're looking at homes at 1.5, 2 million and up, those ones are going to be suffering a little bit more. Those are the homes that you want to be selling off. If you're always in bread and butter housing, you're probably going to be okay. It's going to be a lot better for you. Big Trout, you said you have a dumb question. There's no question that's dumb. Every question is good. So the big cities are going to behave very different from medium cities, going to react very different to small cities. And small cities, 50,000, something like that, 50 to 100. Medium cities, kind of like 500,000 or whatever. Big cities, 1 million and up. And so when you go into those different ones, now we're going to go from appreciation markets into cash flow markets, completely different. And we got to be careful how we're going to be tailoring those. So I want you to always use math. Math is going to be your biggest and best friend. And I want you guys to be able to make a lot of money this way. So if you guys have any other questions, please put them down for me. What we're seeing across the board is a manic behavior across the board. We're seeing that houses are selling very, very fast. We're also seeing that prices have gone way up. And people are overpaying again. We have recouped 100% of the money that we lost through the year. 1.1 it was last June, and now we're at 1.1 again. Unbelievable, as if interest rates have no difference in the market. This is why I'm pretty afraid of people that believe that interest rates don't matter. They actually do matter. And where it's going to matter is the lag effect on people. I'm fortunate enough to work in a field where I'm talking to many, many people every single day, every single week. And I've never had so many calls of people who are in trouble. And usually they're going to say something to the effect of, I have X amount of weeks left, X amount of months left before their taps are dried out. So this is going to be very, very interesting to me over the next few years. My career, one thing I've never seen in the United States, we're looking at $70 trillion that the baby boomers have that are going to be either spent or transferred to their children over the next few years. Richest generation of all time. Also, if you want to look at the millennial group that is coming up and the children of the boomers, these guys don't want massive properties and so on and so forth. So we're going to have a generation that is going to be receiving all of this cash, and the decisions they make are going to shape the economy. And I guarantee that they're going to spend their money differently than their parents did. So we're going to see some big changes in the markets coming up. I'm actually very interested in it from a total perspective. Freddie is mentioning everyone's trying to unload now. Yeah, a lot of people are unloading homes, but nothing like what you're going to see coming up. You're going to see a lot of properties getting unloaded. Any pockets you see growth north? Are you talking about around Toronto? This is concerning you. Freddie is saying, great content. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it. Let me just see. I think I had another question come up. Mid-20s, but saving for a home. Oh, well, I'm rooting for you, buddy. Mid-20s, saving for a home. It's not possible to time the market, but where do you see the market in 2 and 3 years? This is what you have to do, is you need to buy properties, absolutely, all the time. But what you got to get out of your head is you got to stop thinking that you need to buy the house that you live in. That's the biggest mental block that I'm finding everybody has right now, is because they believe that the home that they live in should be owned. And that is one of the biggest mistakes, man. I think it's crazy town. I read that in Rich Dad, Poor Dad like 20 years ago or whenever the book came out. So you just put 100% of your money into investments and it pays enough cash for you so you can live anywhere you want. And there's still properties like that right now, but they're going to be in towns that are like 100,000 people. They're not going to be in cities that are many millions, if that makes any sense. That's what I would suggest for you. And educate. A lot of stuff. North of Toronto, I think Vaughan is growing a lot right now, but I think that the future of Toronto is going to be the satellite cities. So you got to think of like Trenton, Prince Edward County, down in London, for a lot of the government work. St. Thomas is huge. You know, I wouldn't be going to Kitchener, Waterloo. That's played out. How would I describe Kingston Belleville market? I like it. I like it very much. We have a lot of clients that buy and sell out there. I don't have the book for Mr. Big Trout, but look at this book right here, okay? Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright. This is the Rich Dad, Poor Dad company. So I think that your first book, maybe Big Trout, you got to go get, is Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright. Take a screenshot right now. Get this book right away. That's what I would suggest. We have a question. What do you think of Montreal? So you guys, I don't know if some of you know that follow me for a long time. I'm actually from Montreal, born and raised in Montreal. And I really like Montreal. Montreal overall, the prices are extremely reasonable. So as far as prices go, it's amazing. As far as the government goes, it's terrible. So when you want to evict somebody for non-payment in Quebec, worst place in Canada, it could take you up to 2 years to evict somebody for non-payment. Let's take that apart and go to a place like New Brunswick, where if somebody doesn't pay you rent, you have to ask them to leave, and they have to leave within 2 weeks. So you tell me what's better. Just imagine for a second what would happen to you if you bought in a place that is punishing landlords. And they say, listen, the people are poor, so we want individual citizens to pay the rent for other people. I mean, that's bananas to me. So I love Montreal. I love the culture. I love the accent. It reminds me of home. The price point is good. As far as an investment, I would never, ever do it. Ever. So I'm wondering if that's clear enough. For an investment, I wouldn't do it. But I love Montreal. Formula One is in Montreal this weekend. Starts tomorrow. Okay. I love Montreal. Great to visit. Terrible to invest. Will Ottawa value in a recession? So I think you guys, this is a really good question about Ottawa. I got some other questions coming as well. Is BC the same? BC punishes landlords as well. You don't want to be investing in BC. Crazy town. Don't do it. Rahul, man, I love Rahul. I hope I meet you one day. This guy's a genius. Let me read his comment. Best investment strategy is to rent a place in Quebec and invest in New Brunswick. Freaking genius. This guy's amazing. Okay. And this is what I try to teach all of my clients all the time. We also have a school of students. If you're interested in that, you can send it out an email to contact@Rough Team Realty. Contact@Rough Team Realty if you want to know, become a student as well. But you guys, you rent where you want to live, where it's fun, and you invest where it makes sense. Rahul's got it. Okay? That's the whole rich dad, poor dad philosophy, guys. Genius. So if you just do what Rahul says, you guys are cool. All right. So I had two questions that were coming up. Ottawa, Barrie. Rent is cheaper in Montreal. You are very, very correct. So let's do this together, you guys. So I'm just trying to think of what website. Hard to remember all these websites one after one after the other. HPI. I wanted to show you the HPI. Is that what it's called? HPI tool. Yeah. All right. So let's do this. You guys are asking me about Ottawa. So let's take a look at Ottawa. Ottawa is amazing. So you guys, we were making fun of Toronto. We're making fun of Vancouver. So now let's pull up a city in Ottawa and let's see how Ottawa performs. And just because I'm from Montreal, we got a lot of Montreal friends on here tonight. Let's take a look at Montreal. Again, we're looking for stability of prices. Stability of prices is key. This goes back to 2006. And now let's take a look at where that is. If you look at where we were here, prices in Toronto, 1.3 million. Currently, they dropped down to 1,070,000. That drop of 200,000 is a bankruptcy event for a lot of people. So if we want to move away from that, take a look at Ottawa. A lot less gain, but a lot less drop. Montreal, barely anything. Montreal barely dropped at all. Montreal's doing amazing, you guys. So Ottawa, remember, Ottawa is kind of like, I always say, Canada's communism almost, because everybody in Ottawa makes between 50,000 and 120,000 because they're almost all government workers. So if we go back to 2007, 8, do you see any bumps here? There's no bumps here because everyone always keeps their job. No one ever loses their job. So that's the fun thing. Someone's asking me about Barrie. How does Barrie behave if we're going to stack them up? Barrie went absolutely bananas. From 2020, 500,000 to go up to $1 million to double in price in 2 years. That's disgusting. And then the price dropped from $1 million down to 776. Losing $250,000, just so you know, that's a bankruptcy event for a lot of people. So my point is live where it's fun, maybe live in the blue line, that's very manic depressive, that's very fun, and invest in something that is more stable. And so you could take a look at all of them if you want. And so where you probably want to live, these are all the cities. You probably want to live in some of the manic depressive, very, very high priced areas. That's where you'd like to rent, and you'd probably want to invest in the lower half. This doesn't matter if you're in the States, if you're in Romania, or if you're in Canada. It doesn't really matter. It's always the same rules. Man, guys, I'm giving you all the hacks to life. I hope that you're going to follow me on YouTube, you guys. That's what I think. Barrie is a great area for you to end users, for you to end up and live there forever. Okay. Like my parents live there, I work there, whatever. Okay. But it's not a good area to invest in. I hope I knocked off a lot. What do I think about Oshawa? Oshawa is overpriced right now. It's not something that I have. David, do I have a tip jar or buy me a coffee account? I don't. Is that something, Mateen, that you can have? Is a tip jar or buy me a coffee? That'd be kind of fun. I think that some of the help that I like when we are calling people, we're saving them hundreds of thousands of dollars, usually from our first call. So I think I should. I'm dropping this all for free. I think I should get a coffee. You saving people time as their eyes and ears. What's happening in the economy? Yes, yeah. I had no idea I can have a tip jar. Maybe I should have one. But thank you very much, you guys. I really appreciate it. Maybe I'll look into that one day. Oh man, I got a lot of questions coming in, you guys. Yeah, Freddie, I'm going to look into that. If you have not coming cash flow from investment property, yeah, you can still get cash flow from investment properties all over the place. Mateen, yeah, I'm going to look into that. I didn't know that you could do that. Thank you for letting me know. Michelle is back. I remember Michelle. You have a very fun name across there. So how are you? Dr. Laura, you missed it. Sorry. Sorry, I don't know. Were you on here all the time? So if you, Dr. Laura or Michelle, both you, if you had missed the live that we've had, we've been on for 50 minutes today. It's one of our emergency meetings that we like to put on because the United States had raised their rates, paused their rates, but said they're going to raise it 2 more times this year. Also, if we look back, last week, Canada raised their rates, so we had to get a lot of this information out there. Is it better to buy a condo in Toronto downtown near the University of Toronto or rent for a student? No, I would be renting as a student right now. I wouldn't be buying a condo in downtown Toronto. The only way that I would be buying a condo is if you were in a small 2-bedroom, 2-bath within 200 meters of a subway station in a 7 out of 10 condo building only. Dr. Laura, yeah, you said you enjoyed the live. Thank you very much for coming by. We always like doctors coming by. Michelle, Niagara. Yeah, Niagara is overplayed. Don't touch Niagara right now. Let me prove it to you. Let's jump right into here. Let's cancel a bunch of these guys and let's pull up Toronto. Where else did we have that was Barrie was out of whack? And let's look up the whole Niagara region, okay? Let me I like just to prove you things instead of just trusting you. But can you see a pattern between these 3 places? And so the top one is Toronto, this one is Barrie, this one is Niagara. Although that the prices are different, they all behave the same. Did you notice they look almost the same? And so these can be bankruptcy events for people. Niagara is just a little bit too overplayed right now. If we look at current prices, 662,000. Before they printed money, 400. So it's a little bit high. This has to come down to about 600,000 before it would be a purchase for me. You need prices right now to drop about 10% before you can enter into Niagara. So that's I wouldn't be doing it yet. Yeah, Michelle, she says facts. I like that. Well, you guys, listen, like you can have as many opinions as you want. That's what I always say. Like there's 7 billion people in the world, or what is it now? I don't even know. Maybe it's 8 billion. If you ask everybody, there's going to be 8 billion different opinions. But some things are just truth. Math has to make sense. So people who are buying properties at 1.1 million last year at 2%, and $1 million today and paying 7%, do not tell me that that has no effect. I don't want to hear it. And all these people that want to tell you and sell you a load of crap that, oh, the immigrants, there was a lot of immigrants, they're going to be able to pay for it. There's the housing supply. Unless you believe that every single immigrant coming to this country has $250,000 stuffed in their pocket and a guaranteed job for $250,000 a year, then no, those immigrants do not afford these properties. Okay? So I don't believe that for a second. I don't, because I deal a lot with the refugees that are coming in and immigrants that are coming to the country. Yes, of course. There's some very wealthy ones coming from Hong Kong, China, Saudi Arabia, of course. But that is not the majority of them. The majority of them do not come with $250,000 in their pocket. So don't go and buy all this pre-construction stuff that is out there and lose your shirt. Freddie is saying just common logic. I know, but we live in this crazy world where common logic just for some reason goes out the window and nobody wants to hear about it because they believe in some kind of fantasy. At the end of the day, this has to come back and hurt them. Ragmeet Sandhu, you're asking me about what areas. It doesn't matter what area. Just buy a property that makes sense financially. if you can make some cash flow off of it, or even if it pays for itself, it's a good buy. So I just suggest that you guys go read this book, Tax-Free Wealth. You don't have to pay taxes anymore if you don't want to. Tax-Free Wealth, go look it up. Tom Wheelwright, take a screenshot. It's the Rich Dad, Poor Dad family. Get this book and just get going. And here's the thing. Math always makes sense no matter where you go. Ask a banker, okay? Banks always make money, right? And so if you know what the math is, it doesn't mean that now is a bad time to buy. In Canada, there is 1,000 different real estate markets, literally 1,000. In the United States, there are thousands, plural, like 3,000. There are always areas and always properties that are great deals. And real estate is one of the best ways for you to do it. It's the king. It's the king for you to not have to pay taxes anymore legally. Why on earth would you ever do something illegal? That's crazy to me. So I wish you guys the very, very best. I want you to continue to build wealth. If I gave you any value whatsoever, I'm begging you, just follow us on here. Tell your friends about us. Hopefully they'll come on live. We try to give out a lot of content for free. We have a lot of episodes that have a lot of big nuggets in it. So I want to help you guys. And if you guys happen to be in the Toronto area at all, if you are in the Toronto area, you can always reach out to me and we can sell your homes for you faster and less hassle and for more money. It's a free consultation with my team if you ever want. That's where you can reach us. Anyway, I wish you guys the very best. Hope that you have a fantastic, fantastic night. Do you guys have any questions before I go? Because I'd like to help you. Anything? Michelle is saying thank you. You're very, very welcome. It's always fun to see you guys. Thank you very much for all the likes and all the support. Thank you for supporting the channel, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.